Part 3. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tio Lan. Chapter 21. That night, Sakakihara quietly opened the door to his room. He poked his head out. There were no lights on in the corridor and living room, and it was pitch dark. The small refrigerator Tianhai Minjiu bought for herself has not arrived yet, so he knows that her iced potato chips are now placed in the refrigerator in the open kitchen. He walked out of his room wearing slippers, glanced at the two rooms opposite with the names Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Julie Yulai written on them respectively, then turned and came to the living room. Sakakibara stood in front of the refrigerator holding a bag of potato chips he bought at the supermarket in the afternoon. Although I have no idea what brand of potato chips Tianhai Kaimingyu likes to eat, I just buy the most popular ones in the world. No one can eat potato chips without eating Lay's. Just like no one drinks Coca-Cola. I didn't look carefully this afternoon. It has double doors. Is it a Hitachi refrigerator? It's actually the latest model. It's estimated to cost several 100,000 yen. Sakakibara glanced up and down, thinking that Uncle Amamai was really rich. Although they may be a combined family, in fact, I don't know much about each other at all. For example, Uncle Tianhai's monthly salary, savings, working position, etc. Ahem, I definitely have no intention of taking a fancy to his deposit. All the money in his family belongs to his twin daughters. Taking advantage of the yellowish light in the refrigerator, Sakakihara looked inside. This double-door Hitachi refrigerator is really big. It is said to have 735 liters of extra-large space. The contents of the freezer alone are enough for Raku Sakakihara to rummage through for half a day. It doesn't seem to be here. He squatted down, opened the freezer below, and took out 3 empty boxes in a row. Finally, he saw the potato chips he was looking for in the medium-sized storage box in the middle. There was a thin white air conditioning escaping from the refrigerator, and there were 7 or 8 packed bags of potato chips in this section. And it's not just fun. Sakakibara took a quick look and saw that there were also local Japanese potato chip brands such as Pizza, Kalbi, Chipstar, and Kochia. There are some pleasures, but not much. He bought the original flavor, and he checked inside to see if there were any original Lay's potato chips, so that he could use his own in exchange for this, so that Tianhai Kaimingyu would not find him eating her stuff. Good luck. Raku Sakakihara took out the innermost original Lay's and stuffed the one he bought into it. The potato chip bag felt a little cold in my hand. Sorry. He was chanting the name of Tianhai Kaimingyu. Saying sorry in his heart, Sakakibara ripped it open with both hands, opened the package, grabbed the potato chips and put them in his mouth to eat. Mao Yu Random Mission Part 1. Find the weakness of Tianhai Kaimingyu, complete. Time taken, 2 days. Evaluation, B. B level special reward. Information revealed, iced potato chips. It originated from the first pack of snacks handed to Tianhai Kaimingyu when I was a child. Its characteristic is that after being refrigerated, the potato chips break the boundaries in terms of physical properties and become cool, further sealing the moisture in the potato chips to make them cooler. The slices become deliciously crispy. Preparation process, put in the refrigerator. Introduction, if you use it just right, you may be able to win the favor of a certain character, but please be careful not to be discovered when you eat it secretly. A certain character refers to the 7 bright moons in the sky and the sea, right? Sakakibara thought to himself. Completion reward, 25,000 points. Existing points, 1700-26700. Flower Notes 0 upgrade. Level 1 Level 25. Get upgrade reward, 200,000 yen, issued. Get upgrade rewards, 5 mysterious lucky bags, distributed. Existing deposit, 119,700 yen 319,700 yen. Get mysterious lucky bags. 5. Diddy rewards have been distributed, now Tokyo time, 22 hours 34 minutes and 21 seconds. Players please pay attention to their daily routine, play healthy and green games, and build a harmonious life together. This is definitely a domestic system. And this reward? Massive. Sakakibara grabbed the iced potato chips that Nanami had kept and stuffed them into his mouth, while his eyes swept across the almost transparent system plate in front of him. Click on the properties page and transfer all 20,000 points into cash. 200,000 yen has been redeemed. Almost as soon as this news appeared in front of his eyes, the mobile phone in his pocket received a text message from Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation. Sakakibara quickly took it out and took a look. It showed that the current available balance of the bank card was 510,400 yen. So powerful. Raku Sakakihara stared closely at the 510,000 yen on the screen of his mobile phone. Confirm again and again that this text message is the remittance information sent from Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation. Is it that simple, so easy to earn the money that you can only get by working for a whole summer? So, what is my previous life? Sakakihara fell into thinking for 3 seconds. Perhaps, life is inherently unfair. I just obtained an object that is more representative of the unfair elements in this society, the daily game system. There is no reason, no explanation. Just like the heroine in the harem will definitely fall in love with the hero, there is no need for logic at all. How it was formed and why it appeared. Sakakihara didn't want to explore at all, he just wanted to understand an established fact. As long as you continue to live according to your current rhythm, you can use a little effort to exchange for hundreds or even thousands, perhaps a happy life that many people will never envy in their lifetime. Also, there is such a thing as rebirth. Why can't we accept a daily game without any reason? But you need to remember one thing, life is your own. Sakakibara picked up the potato chips in the bag and put them in his mouth to eat. Don't tell me, these potato chips are really delicious even though they are cold. Sakakihara Raku finally understands why Nanami Minjio likes to eat this. After checking the potato chips and returning them to their original positions, Sakakibara closed the refrigerator and stood up again. The mysterious lucky bag was also the lucky draw opportunity, and he felt the need to open it. What are you doing? Who? Sakakibara was suddenly startled by the black shadow that appeared in front of him, took a big step back, and subconsciously asked. Wearing pajamas and a hood on her head, Suzu Sakakibara half closed her eyes and looked at the potato chips in Raku Sakakibara's hand. If I remember correctly, this is Kaiminyu Etun's hamster food, right? Hamster food, Sakakibara blinked, and through the dim moonlight outside the window, he realized that the person standing in front of him was Sakakibara Suzu. That's just snacks. Sakakibara Suzu looked at her brother who had already put his hands behind his back and tilted his head. Brother, are you stealing other people's potato chips? Sakakihara retracted his hands further, turned his face to the side, and reluctantly thought of a reason to explain. I'm just a little hungry, haha, come out to find something to eat? No, when Minjio put the potato chips in the refrigerator, she specifically told us not to eat her food secretly. Sakakihara Suzu's purple eyes were even more shining in the light night. Brother, what are you doing? About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 22. Mall, unlocked. Is the game store unlocked? Sakakihara Raku saw the news that was blocking his eyes. No, that's not the point. The point is that Suzu Sakakibara is standing in the corridor and finds herself eating potato chips. Haha, Sakakibara burst out laughing. Azu, I'm your brother, right? What's wrong? Also, what are you looking at? Sakakihara Suzu looked suspicious. She felt that the brother tonight was sneaky. He stayed up in the middle of the night and ran out to eat? Tian Haikaimingu specifically warned not to let him go. The potato chips he ate. Her intuition told her that there was definitely something fishy going on here. Ah! What are you looking at? Haven't I been looking at you? Haraku Sakakihara hid the half-eaten potato chips behind him and laughed awkwardly. Even though his eyes were locked on the mall, unlocked, he also pretended to be looking at Sakakihara's Suzu. Don't come over, Suzu. Sakakihara suddenly felt a chill and took a step back. What's wrong? Are you Sakakibara Raku? Why am I not? Sakakihara Suzu felt that the old man in front of her was a bit scary. Because Sakakihara Raku's pupils are actually a bit upward and dilated, that is to say, he is looking at himself with half of the whites of his eyes, and he is laughing at himself lukewarmly. She felt like she had goosebumps all over her body. Fortunately, the shopping mall prompt font in front of Sakakibara's eyes quickly disappeared, and his eyes refocused on Sakakibara's face. What's your expression? Sakakihara asked. What, my expression? What's strange is that you're okay. Why am I weird? It's not weird. Sakakibara Raku, you almost put the word weird into my head. Sakakihara Raku was a little confused as to why she was so angry. What she ate in secret was not her potato chips. Did standing in the kitchen in the middle of the night scare her? She must have just moved to a new home. She is not very familiar with the surrounding environment and is commonly known as insecure. But Sakakibara Suzu is angry. How should I put it? Maybe I have taken care of her since she was a child, and I am not too disgusted with her. Moreover, it only takes 2 days for a girl to be angry, and she won't have to go out to eat by then. Sakakihara Raku still remembers the time when Suzu was angry with him. At first, she didn't want to say a word to herself, and she didn't come out to eat after the meal was ready. It was like this for 2 days. However, on the 3rd day, she still came out to eat in silence. On the 4th day, she went right back to her normal self, as if the thing that made her angry never happened. Are you okay? Raku Sakakibara still asked in his usual concerned tone, but it was this ordinary tone that made Raku Sakakibara's heart pause for a moment. She calmed down a little, stayed silent for a while, and then whispered to him. Feel sorry. Apologize for what? There was something wrong with my tone just now. Sakakibara Suzu put her hands behind her back, kicking the air with her right foot wearing a slipper, and looked around restlessly with her head, shifting her gaze. Sakakibara looked at his sister who had her head lowered, smiled, and said. It's not like you don't know that I won't be angry over such a trivial matter. That's good. After a while, Sakakihara Suzu seemed to have returned to her previous state, looking at him with purple eyes. Brother, do you still remember what you promised me? Alliance. You really forgot? Sakakihara Suzu seemed a little unhappy. Sakakihara lowered his voice and said, I promised you a lot of things, and if you don't remind me, how will I know which thing you are talking about? Anyway. Sakakihara Suzu looked at him again and suddenly felt that he was not so annoying anymore. It's just a little silly, yes, a little silly. Oh, I'll forget it if I can't remember it. Suzu. Sakakihara stopped moving and didn't intend to pursue it any further. She asked what happened just now. On the contrary, brother, why did you come out to eat potato chips in the middle of the night? Haha. Sakakihara laughed awkwardly. At this moment, he thought in his heart that he couldn't escape this topic after all. He made an excuse casually, it's mainly out of curiosity. Curious? Sakakibara paused and said with a smile, aren't you curious about the taste of the frozen potato chips that Chiminjio likes to eat so much? I'm not curious. Sakakihara Suzu answered quite simply. Ahem. Raku Sakakihara habitually coughed to cover up his embarrassment. People's preferences are different, just like your curiosity is not the same as mine. Sakakibara paused and looked into her special and beautiful eyes. Also, brother, I want you to keep this secret, how about it? Roar. Suzu Sakakihara picked up her chin very skillfully and looked at the potato chips in his hand as if she were grabbing someone's handle. As for why she can imitate such an image, she must also thank the voice actor guide, How to Make Your Voice Play 300%. The book taught her several classic movements for women of different identities, so that she could practice her voice in various identities. Sakakibara said, Ahem. I ask you to mention it casually, as long as you don't let Chi Minjio know about it. An unknown smile broke out on Sakakihara Suzu's face. Really, can anything be done? Chi Minjio's voice. This girl. I've only known Chi Minjio for a few days, so I can already learn a 7-pointed image. Are you a great voice actor? In the past, in order to practice her voice, she practiced her voice until it was almost smoking. Sakakihara Raku didn't expect that she could imitate it so quickly now. Haha. Yes, you can say whatever you want, as long as you don't sell yourself. Sakakibara deliberately made his answer sound like he didn't care at all, but he actually felt guilty. Then what if Chi Minjio says that she wants her brother to sell herself? Chi Minjio's voice. Selling yourself to whom? Cowherd's shop. Don't tell me, you actually look good, you should be able to get a good price, and some girls will like it, Mama-san from Cowherd's shop. Sakakibara Suzu chuckled at the corner of her mouth, with contempt in her eyes, revealing a feeling of choosing a harem. She was obviously shorter than him, but why did Sakakibara feel like she was looking at him from above? Too strange. No, he is his brother. The brother who used to hold her head and rub it? Even if my sister catches me, I can't give in. Stop it. Sakakibara deliberately thickened his voice, don't make jokes like the cowherd shop. Although you have caught me, our status is still equal in theory. The worst is, we will die. As long as you dare, if you make a report, I will expose the contents of your cardboard box to Chi Minjio and the others. Box? You, Sakakihara Suzu stared at him for a long time, then pulled her own face and pulled out a very kind squinting smile. Brother, did you peek at my box? Sakakibara looked innocent, you can't blame me. I accidentally exposed it when I was helping you move things. Lulu, is exposed. Sakakihara Suzu's facial expression was stunned for a moment, and then she quickly calmed down. She crossed her hands together, turned her arms and stretched them out, with a beautiful smile on her face, like a cute little girl. Actually, it's okay if girls have that kind of thing, right? Stable. Seeing the panicked look on Sakakibara Suzu's face just now, Sakakibara thought to herself. In fact, I had no idea what was in her box, and I had no interest in knowing. Just now, I just deliberately tricked her so that she could slip into the circle that I had set. Since that kind of thing is nothing, if I tell Chi Minjio and the others, it should be nothing, right? Sakakibara Raku. Shout, brother Raku. Sakakibara said word by word, even though he was still holding Chi Minjio's potato chips in his hand. Do you want Chi Minjio to know what's in your box? Do you want them to laugh at you secretly? Smelly. Huh, Sakakihara crossed his arms and opened half of his eyes. Sakakihara Suzu's eyes were evasive, and she no longer had the condescending and fake ladylike temperament she had just now. Then. Brother. When you have something to do, call me brother, and when you have nothing to do, just call Raku. Sakakibara, right? Sakakihara Rakuten put down his hand and looked at his sister, who was a head shorter than him and had a pretty good figure but no breasts. I won't embarrass you, either. Just pretend you didn't see this tonight, and I won't talk nonsense about your box. Sakakihara Suzu was not convinced, but still responded to him with a pout, okay. Then will you agree to my request? Request? What request? Sakakihara smiled. Sakakihara Suzu turned her face directly and muttered, "Smelly brother. It's not like I didn't hear it. That's the smelly old man. I hate him so much." Sakakihara Suzu angrily dropped the sentence and walked straight back to her room from the living room in her slippers. There was a clang. "The door is closed." Sakakibara looked at the corridor where her back disappeared, and couldn't help but smile on his face. "It's still too tender, Aling. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple." Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 23. Call. Sakakibara closed the door to his bedroom and breathed a sigh of relief. After placing the half-pack of potato chips in his hand on the desk in front of the computer, he sat on the edge of the bed. "I just completed the random mission of Tianhai Kaimingu with a B-level evaluation. Hanafuda has been upgraded to level 25. The bank card currently has a deposit of 510,400 yen, 5,700 points, and 5 card drawing lucky bags. It can be considered a good start." He focused his attention again on a transparent system panel in his mind, and opened a panel that looked like a game character interface. Name, Raku Sakakibara. Charm, 7. Intelligence, 7. Stamina, 7. I looked at my Sankai panel and thought that this should be considered relatively high among ordinary people, right? His admission score was 4th in the school, with a deviation value of 70. According to Japan's deviation value, this is among the top 1% of students. With an intelligence of 7 points, one can reach the top 1% of prestigious schools in Tokyo. So if the intelligence reaches 8, if it is just a little higher, will it have any very outrageous effects? However, when he clicked on the system's MAL interface, he quickly gave up the idea. Intelligence 1 point / 10 million points. Charm 1 point / 10 million points. Stamina 1 point / 1 million points. Note 1, fixed products remain unchanged and will not be refreshed over time. Note 2, each higher level of the 3 basic attributes requires quadratic times of the points required for the previous level. Is this thing so high? A little bit of intelligence costs 100 million yen? To raise your intelligence to 9, you need 100 billion points? 1 trillion yen? For someone like him who always checks whether there is a discount when buying box lunches in the supermarket, this is simply a fantasy. Although 9 points is a bit outrageous, 8 points of intelligence is definitely a cost-effective deal for wealthy people. It only costs the price of a house to raise their intelligence to a higher level. Unfortunately, points can only be exchanged for money, money cannot be exchanged for points. And he didn't know if this thing could be used on others. So far, he can only see his own panel. There is nothing on other people's heads, and there is no button similar to gift in the mall. Thinking about it this way, it is probably impossible to add charm to others. Sakakibara continued to look downward. Random goods. On the product interface, a column is randomly refreshed with comments. Note 1, only one daily item will be refreshed every week, which is divided into 5 levels, white, green, purple, orange, and red. The corresponding refresh probabilities are 20%, 70%, 8%, 1.99%, 0.01%. Note 2, the random item area in the mall is refreshed every week. If you want to keep the item, you can spend 100,000 points to lock it. Note 3, newbies are given a free refresh opportunity. Note 4, each prop has its corresponding number. The higher the number, the higher the rarity. Now that the limited time items are empty, Sakakibara pulled down the limited time items area. Diddy dot. The sound is like a retro game console from the 1980s and 1990s. A panel popped up in front of him. Women's underwear. Quality, white, ordinary. No, 942,321. Introduction, an ordinary underwear. Price, 1000 points/item. Limited time remaining, 6 days. That's it? You can sell me 10,000 yuan just for this? But it is indeed daily enough. Sakakibara couldn't help but think of the weapons in the novice village in the game. They are obviously items that can be dropped by wild monsters. The backpacks are sold for only a few gold coins. However, the blacksmith shop insists on putting these same attributes, but only sells them for a few gold coins. Hundreds of whiteboard equipment at unreasonable prices. I don't know if it was sold to someone who was taken advantage of. Anyway, he plays games and has never bought any iron items from Novice Village. He continued to look at the refresh button marked with a red dot in his mind and clicked refresh. Diddy dot. The sound of the retro game console sounded again. This is. Sakaki Hararaku didn't care at all at first, but as the product appeared in front of him, his pupils narrowed tightly because what appeared in front of him was not any of the 5 colors. Rather, it is a wonderful, dreamlike color. If the phone hall. Special, fantasy props. Quality : Number, 0738. Price, 999 trillion points. Source, Doraemon series animation. In the TV animation The World Without Money on October 31, 1979, if the phone booth first appeared. Introduction: a parallel world that is separate from reality can be connected according to the user's requirements. Limited time remaining, 6 days. This thing. Joke. At first glance, it seems that it is not something I can afford. 999 trillion. He even had reason to suspect that the system was deliberately teasing him by giving him a prop that novice players could never afford. No matter how coveted and wanted, Sakaki Hararaku would never be able to afford it even if he bankrupted his fortune. Spending 100,000 points to lock in will definitely be a waste of those 100,000 points. So, we can only let it go in vain? No. 0738, if the telephone hall can only hold those fantasy props in front of more than 700 people, how awesome would it be? Is everything possible? No, that's not right. If the telephone booth existed, then everything would be possible. Moving forward, Sakaki Hararaku can't even imagine it now. Is this really a daily game? Or is it that daily games are inherently more outrageous than ordinary games? But it doesn't matter if he can't buy it. He didn't intend to rely entirely on the system. After all, assistance is assistance, and his life is his own. It's good to have it, or nothing. The night breeze in the air was gentle, and a gust of cold wind blew in. Sakaki Hara felt that his body suddenly became a little cold, so he stood up and closed the window. He put his hands on the window and looked at the night view of Tokyo outside the room window. The night view high above Tokyo's Minato district was as bright as trees, and the neon lights that reddened the entire Tokyo night sky were reflected in his eyes. The lights of vehicles and trams pass through the city streets. Countless people in fashionable clothes are walking in the bustling city blocks. The evening breeze blows in the face and stirs the thin hair on the forehead. This was the first time that Raku Sakaki Hara looked outside the window of his room like this. Breathing in the refreshing wind in the night, Sakaki Hara turned his attention to the remaining 5 mysterious lucky bags. Mysterious Lucky Bag X5. Introduction: no one knows what can be found inside. This time, Sakaki Hararaku had no ink marks, so he chose to open 5 at once on the confirmation interface. Diddy dot. 1 money/1 yen already issued. 2 attribute/charm value increased by 1 has been issued. 3 prop/automatic pencil refills already distributed. 4 props / moth-eaten leaves distributed. 5 props / good and evil divination card box, purple, distributed. It's true. I can drive anything. Raku Sakakibara didn't want to complain about this lucky bag anymore, so he didn't mention the 1 yen. The mechanical pencil refill happened to be something he had to buy at the stationery store recently, so he could save several hundred yen, which was not a loss at all. However, surprisingly, even a moth-eaten leaf can be stuffed into a 5th-level lottery gift box for him. Stingy, huge stingy. Fortunately, he, Sakakibara Raku, has always been in a peaceful mood and will not get angry over such trivial matters. He clicked on the last purple prop, a bronze card box that was glowing with purple light. Good and evil divination card box. Quality, purple, epic. No, 32,321. Source, unknown. Introduction, can predict an important event that will happen within 3 days of the object, with a cooling time of 1 week. Sakakibara looked at the purple bronze box in his backpack, which was printed with strange rattan patterns. He stretched out his hand and took it out of the system's backpack out of thin air. It's quite light. Raku Sakakibara held the hand-sized box in his hands and weighed it. It was boxy. Although it looked like it was made of bronze, it only weighed a box of cigarettes. At the same time, the system popped up a prompt for him. Introduction to the use of good and evil divination card boxes. 1. Put your hand on the top of the card box. 2. Take out the card. 3. Place the card above your head for 10 minutes. 4. Check the card prediction screen. 5. The prediction screen disappears. If necessary, please follow the prompts on the good and evil sides of the prediction card. What does it mean? Sakakibara watched the usage introduction twice, but there were still some things he didn't understand. Such as that. Act according to the prompts from both sides of good and evil. He looked down at the box in his hand and placed one hand on the top of the bronze card box. He frowned and waited for about 5 seconds before an exquisite card with flashy gilt patterns appeared in his hand. Bad fate. One side is printed with the face of a red devil, with sharp fangs and a samurai sword in its mouth, its eyes closed and silent. Good karma. One side is printed with a bright blue female face, with a halo above its head, holding a scepter, and a holy face. Sakakibara Raku didn't think there was anything wrong with this card. He just felt that it was obviously a daily game system, so why did it look like a suspense film? He placed it above his head as requested. 10 minutes later, he took it in his hand and looked at it. The evil ghosts and goddesses on both sides of the gilt card disappeared, replaced by a pure gray card surface. In the middle of the card, a line of words appeared. 2nd-degree fracture of right middle finger. No way. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 24. On Thursday, the weather was still sunny. Sakakibara-san. In the morning physical education class, Raku Sakakibara finished practicing volleyball and packed the volleyball into the gym with monitor AI Minakami. Compared to other girls, Minato AI is a bit weak, so Raku Sakakibara does most of the work. Since she watched most of the time, she pushed the basket into the gym together no matter what. Sorry, Sakakibara-kun. Mizuna AI folded her hands in front of her, her face looked slightly red, and she glanced sideways at Raku Sakakibara. It's okay, but I have a question for you, monitor. What is it? It's not something important, but monitor, you stepped on my toes. Ah, Shui AI suddenly realized this and apologized hurriedly, sorry. AI Minakara, whose face was flushed, looked serious in apologizing, but Raku Sakakibara actually didn't care at all. It doesn't matter, it's just a small matter. I'm really sorry, Sakakibara-kun. Mizunao looked very nervous. She didn't know why, but her face turned very red in front of Sakakibara-kun today. Although Sakakibara-kun was quite handsome in the past, and he was very helpful to others. When he first entered school, he would take the initiative to help with any physical work, and he was also very easy to talk to. Many girls have a crush on him. But obviously it has never been like this before. She suddenly felt that she couldn't stay here any longer. Probably because of the effect of increasing his charm value. Sakakihara Raku also saw the monitor's uncharacteristic behavior today and understood what caused this situation. Is this charm so perverted? Class. I am sorry, Sakakibara-kun. If everything's okay, I'll leave first. Before Sakakibara Raku had time to answer whether there was anything wrong, Minami Ai hurriedly lowered his head and left, leaving Sakakibara Raku standing alone, watching the girls quickly disappearing back. Monitor, you haven't given me the key to the gym yet. The school bell of Ming Junior High School rang on time at 3:30 in the afternoon. The teacher's chalk stopped on the blackboard, and the entire classroom suddenly relaxed from the tense atmosphere. Everyone's faces showed an expression of it's finally over. Well, that's it for today, get out of class is over. Sakakibara watched the Chinese teacher walk down from the podium with textbooks in hand, and the whole classroom was boiling within a moment. Many boys stood up from their seats and stretched themselves comfortably. Going to Akihabara. Today is probably that day. That's right. Kano-chan's figure has recently been released, I have to check it out. Then let's go. Walk. What about club activities? Escape. Kano-chan. Raku Sakakibara, who is sitting in the window seat in the classroom, always feels an inexplicable sense of familiarity when he hears this name. Could it be that the memory of his previous life has awakened? Could it be that he is the reincarnation of some great power from another world, and it was because of that identity in his previous life that he was brutally plotted and died fishing by the river? No, when did I start to become a middle-class student? Sakakibara put these messy thoughts behind, put the homework and reference books he had to do today into his school bag, slung it over his right shoulder, and prepared to go home. Sakakibara, aren't you going to the club today? Nishijima Ogai asked from the side. No, I have the day off. Akihabara, you're not going? Didn't you say last week that your vacuum cleaner was broken and you wanted to buy it there? I have something to do today. Dating. Maybe. Raku Sakakihara, who was walking towards the back door of the classroom, raised his hand and waved to Nishijima Oi and Fujino Yoshiyuki behind him. When Nishijima Oi packed up his school bag and raised his head again, he realized that Sakakibara Raku's back had disappeared into the corridor full of students. Fujino Yoshiyuki leaned closer to him and looked towards the student corridor. Why is this guy Sakakihara so secretive in the past few days? He doesn't go out for runs together anymore. Sure enough, the relationship has faded. Hearing this, Nishijima Daiki cast a contemptuous look at this sports loser, as if to say, just you. I actually thought that guy suddenly became a lot more handsome. This must be my misunderstanding. One group a year, one group a year. Raku Sakakibara walked around among the crowd of students in the corridor after school. When the girls saw him, they all took the initiative to smile. When the other girl smiled, he responded politely. I didn't want to cause any trouble, but every time he smiled in return, the group of girls would gather around and talk. Why do you make yourself look like a frivolous man? Smiling at girls everywhere. Therefore, Sakakibara decided not to respond. He finally stopped in front of a classroom door. He raised his head, glanced at the one-year group hanging on the door, and then looked into the classroom. It was full of people he didn't know very well. He looked left and right, but he only found a female classmate whose admission score was rank second. He remembered that the girl's name seemed to be Tamuki Gomi. Rank second in admission, quite outstanding. Brother is looking for sister. Hearing this unique cold voice, Sakakibara turned around and happened to spot Tenkai Nanamayu. She was carrying her little brown school bag and standing in front of her. Extending from the bottom of the skirt is a pair of absolutely shapely legs with exquisite lines. The girl is wearing small black leather shoes. The fair skin exposed between the knee socks and the skirt is called the absolute domain of a girl. The absolute realm under Tian Haikaimingyu's skirt is undoubtedly the most attractive one. Tian Haikaimingyu's long flaxen hair was scattered behind her, and her face was so delicate that she didn't look like a person from this world at all. Sakakibara subconsciously glanced at the red bow on her collar that was standard in Western-style school uniforms, then met her gaze and nodded. Yeah. Do you think I'm particularly handsome today or something? I didn't expect that my brother would be such a good person. Why does the charm value seem to be useless? Sakakihara did not believe in evil, and naturally smiled at Tian Haikaimingyu. But this only made her blink her eyes twice. Brother, what are you laughing at? What kind of system is this? Make yourself look like a fool. Sakakihara coughed twice to hide his embarrassment. I just want to smile at you suddenly. Brother, are you going to the supermarket with your sister today? Yes, Sakakihara noticed that she had been looking at him. Are you going too? Tian Haikaiminyu tilted her head slightly. I didn't expect that. It's not enough for my brother to have a sister, and he wants me to go with him. Is my brother a man who likes sisters? Like sisters? Alas, Chi Minjia was kidding herself again. Is it fun to tease people like this? Sakakihara thought for a moment, then stood up straight and said seriously, there is no man who doesn't like sisters, especially when the other two girls are still beautiful girls. Oh, Tian Haikaiminyu lightly covered her thin lips and said expressionlessly, brother really has a crush on my sister. Does he like her? This is a forbidden love. After getting along for a few days, Sakakihara gradually adapted to her little devil's personality and deliberately said to her, I am a man who likes sisters. Since I like them, I should like two at the same time. Just liking one sister is not enough. Tian Haikaiminyu didn't show any timidity at all. When he saw Tian Haijuli coming from the classroom behind him, he smiled softly at the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect that my brother would be so brave. However, if I want to marry Chi Minjia and my sister at the same time, I need to ask my father and Aunt Sakakibara if they agree. Sakakihara knew she was joking to him anyway, so he just exaggerated. What's the point? When the time comes, I will take you and Julie Yulai to elope. Go abroad, and then find a wedding hall to get married. Uncle Tianhai and my mother can't control us. Tianhai Kaimingyu smiled even more happily, so, brother really wants to marry my sister. As I said, I am a man who likes sisters. How can one sister be enough, that is, marrying both of you at the same time? Raku Sakakibara suddenly realized something when he saw the rare smile on Nanami's face. Something's wrong, why is she smiling so happily? Could it be that Tianhai Yulai is behind him? It's a joke, it's okay to say these words to Chi Minjia, but if Julie Yulai heard it, what would she think of her brother, who was such a pervert? Nausea. How will my mother and Tianhai Madayan view themselves then? The prophecy said that he would suffer a second-degree fracture of his middle finger within 3 days. Is this the reason? Sakakibara turned around and saw Tianhai Jurili, who looked exactly like Nanamayu. It's better not to explain. The more I explain, the more awkward it becomes. Okay. Fortunately, Tianhai Yulai seemed to have figured out whose problem it was. He walked out, stretched out his right hand, and flicked his finger on Tianhai Kaimingyu's forehead, which was unable to dodge. Tianhai Kaimingyu held her forehead and said in a slightly aggrieved voice, sister's speed has become faster again. Also, why do you want to deal with your own sister? Anyway, you're the one joking around again, right? Tianhaijuli Yuli looked helpless. In front of you, it's not surprising for anyone to say strange things. The two twins are obviously the same height and look the same, and even their voices are very similar if you don't listen carefully. But even so, Tianhaijuli Yuli still has the demeanor of a sister. It was obviously my brother who said he wanted to marry my sister. Tianhaijuli Yuli is relatively mature, but after all, she is only a 15-year-old girl. When she heard the topic of marriage, she couldn't help but panic. Okay, don't bring up this topic. Then don't allow me to flick my forehead. This is the only way to cure you. This is domestic violence that the entire community condemns. Domestic violence, right? When Amami Nanamajetsu saw her sister reaching out to her again, she hurriedly hid behind Sakakibara Raku to the right. Brother, hurry up and subdue sister. She will be yours from now on. I give my permission. Amami Nanami's eyes poked out from Sakakibara Raku's shoulders and looked at Amami Kuruuri, who was directly opposite. Sakakibara was thinking at this moment that Nanamayu would only look like this in front of his sister. Perhaps it was because the two beautiful twin girls were particularly conspicuous standing at the door. When the surrounding students passed by, they would turn around to look at them, and then turn back and pull their friends to look over. Raku Sakakibara had even read their meanings in their fading expressions, which were nothing more than twin beautiful girls, they're beautiful, are they from class 1, and the like. Alas, do men really like sisters? That won't be the case for me. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 25. Chi Minjiao, tell me, under what circumstances does a person suffer a second-degree fracture of his middle finger? Without giving the middle finger to other people. I'm not joking. Tianhai Kaimingyu turned her head and gave him a calm expression. Do you think I'm joking too? Fine. Although this expression contains a bit of doubt, no matter which angle you look at it, her delicate face can't make people feel the slightest disgust. Something was wrong. Even a beautiful girl, even a adopted sister, shouldn't give him this feeling. He, Sakakibara Raku, has always made a clear distinction between right and wrong, and knows that some things cannot be forgiven simply by looking good and being cute. Just like money cannot buy a person's dignity and personality. Of course, if it's 1 billion yen, that's a different story. You must know that there is a difference between money and money. What do you want to eat today? Fried rice with potato chips. Eat this again. Because it's delicious. You still have potato chips in the refrigerator, use that. Iced potato chips have evolved. You mean it can't be used? The does not work. Then you can only buy it again. Do you want to talk to Sister Yu? No need. Tianhai Chi Minjiao's words this afternoon were very brief. Raku Sakakibara glanced at Amami Kuruuri, who was hesitantly choosing what to eat today in the vegetable section, and was soon dragged to the snack section by Nanami Minjiao to buy potato chips. Brother, beside the shelves in the snack area, Tianhai Kaimingyu was holding potato chips in her arms, her slightly swaying sky blue eyes looking at him. This look seemed familiar to Raku Sakakibara. It was the same look that Raku Sakakibara gave him when he was an elementary school student and wanted to eat takoyaki on the roadside. It's just that Tianhai Kaimingyu's eyes are not as eager as hers, but instead give people the impression that I am patiently waiting for your reply. Really want to eat? I want to eat. Tianhai Chi Minjiao nodded and said directly, then pushed the potato chips in her arms towards him, not giving him a chance to refuse. Of course, Sakakibara Raku had no intention of refusing when she looked at him. He has been kind since he was a child, just like when he went out to buy groceries with Ling and she wanted to eat a lollipop, but he didn't buy her anything. Okay, then. Sakakibara turned back and pulled the cart behind him. Tianhai Kaimingyu took advantage of the situation and put several bags of potato chips in her arms. Brother, it's good. When Sakakihara Raku was pushing the cart back to find Juliuli, he heard the words Amamai Nanamai said behind him. Sakakibara didn't look back and asked her directly, "What's wrong? Shouldn't you still be angry with me? Because of the incident I told your sister." Chi Minjaya wasn't angry at all about that matter. "If not, why did you refuse me to join the literature club before?" Sakakihara looked back at her and found that her hands were folded in front of her. The girl is wearing a school uniform with a red bow and a pleated skirt with a well-proportioned calf curve, which seems to have no excess fat and is full of beauty. Because she was carrying a small school bag, her body now felt a little more familiar. The 7 bright moons in the sky and the sea met his gaze towards her. "I obviously had no interest in the literature club when I came here for the first time, and when I came here the second time, I actively asked to join. No matter how you look at it, it seems like you have some evil intentions." She was really right. The purpose of joining the literature club 2 days ago was to find her weaknesses. In a sense, he was plotting against her. Probably because he felt there was no need to expand further, Chi Minjaya skipped this topic. "It's not without reason that I say brother is good. Because I bought you potato chips." Chi Minjaya is not the kind of girl who sells her body just for small favors. Tianhai Chi Minjaya then thought about it. "I want at least 2 boxes of potato chips." "What's the difference?" Sakakibara had reason to suspect that Nanamai was fishing for his own fish, deliberately showing off his natural stupidity. But Chi Minjaya was thinking about my brother's broken middle finger just now. Broken middle fingers are usually injuries caused by violent factors such as fights, but the most common one is being caught in a door. Had your finger pinched under the door? Well, it's quite common. It is indeed very common, but Sakakibara is still not sure whether this is the reason. The divination card box does not only have the function of predicting, it can also give 2 random events to avoid danger. That is, good karma and evil karma. In what is about to happen in the future, the holder needs to make a prescribed choice between these 2 events that will appear immediately. As long as the goal is completed, you can get tips from it to avoid the upcoming danger. Not in a hurry. Raku Sakakibara is also very anxious. He has a 2nd-degree fracture of his middle finger. He is afraid that he will have to wear medicine for the next few weeks. However, these 2 random events never appeared, and he had no choice but to muddle along cautiously. "I bought potato chips again." Tianhai Juliuli, who had been in the vegetable section, saw the potato chips in the supermarket cart. She reached out and looked through them. Potato chips, potato chips, potato chips. In addition to potato chips, there were still only potato chips. "I bought too much." "Chi Minjaya, you still have a lot of them in the refrigerator." "These are the ingredients for dinner," Tianhai Kaimingyu declared to her sister seriously. "Yeah, ingredients." Tianhai Juliuli believed her. "So do you have enough money?" "It doesn't matter, brother will give it to me." Sakakibara turned around subconsciously and glanced at Amamai Nanamai's delicate and serious face. He felt something was wrong. Why did Chi Minjaya say this so naturally? After leaving Don Quixote, the 3 of them returned home along the way. There were 2 twins walking outside who really stood out. Raku Sakakihara followed them, feeling that the return rate was at least 90%. To be honest, it's weird to feel like people are looking at you twice when you walk by. But Juliuli and Chi Minjaya in front of them seemed to be fine. "Maybe you're used to it." "I got on the tram and returned to my house with the pork and fish I bought today." After watching Juliuli unlock the front door, he followed Chi Minjaya and walked in together. The 2 girls first took out the slippers from the shoe cabinet, and then each took off the leather shoes on their feet, revealing their small and tender feet tightly wrapped in black pantyhose, and the skin was slightly exposed at the round ankles. Raku Sakakihara was right behind the twin sisters, watching them take off their shoes. As a man, it is inevitable to be attracted by these 2 pairs of well-proportioned thin legs. At first I didn't think it was anything, but when I thought about their relationship, I felt guilty. At this time, Suzu was still working in the office and had not returned home. Sakakihara went to the kitchen to prepare ingredients as usual. Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Julie Yulai found a cushion, sat at the coffee table, took out today's homework and started a long study. Let's have some salad first. Sakakibara placed the prepared food in front of the two of them. Thank you, Sakakibara-kun, please. I always ask you to do these things. Although my brother looks strange sometimes, the food he cooks is very appetizing. I received a smile from Tianhai Julie Yulai and a compliment from Tianhai Kaimingyu. It's okay, Sakakibara said with a smile. Sakakibara, wearing an apron, walked back to the kitchen. Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of the light coming from his trouser pocket, and then he took out the fortune-telling card in his trouser pocket in the kitchen. This is. The exquisite rattan card printed with the side of the holy goddess showed a glimmer of light. When Sakakibara looked at the card, it gradually became chaotic and disorderly, and quickly gathered together, and a line of words emerged. Agree to neighbor's request. Just at this moment, outside the entrance, the doorbell rang. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 26. Hello. Ogawa Yian found that the person who opened the door was a young man, so he put his hands on his knees and greeted him with a smile. Sakakihara looked puzzled. Excuse me, who are you? The woman in front of her looks relatively young, but she is at least in her 30s. She was holding a rope in her hand, and sitting beside her was a golden retriever holding a green toy ball. It must be the wife next door, Sakakibara thought. My name is Ogawa Ichiyasu, and I am your neighbor who lives next door. You guys must have moved here recently, right? Correct, Sakakihara nodded. What's your name? Sakakibara Raku. Mr. Sakakibara, right? I'm sorry that I didn't come over to say hello to you when you first moved. During that time, I was entangled in some trivial matters at home. Mrs. Ogawa's tone was very sincere. Sir, I don't dare to take it seriously. I'm only 17 years old and still in high school. What can I do for you? It's like this, Mrs. Ogawa said, slightly embarrassed, but with a sincere expression. My husband's mother has been sick recently. My husband is busy with work and is on the rise in his career. He has no way to get away, so I have to go back to my hometown of Hokkaido to take care of her mother-in-law. Is there no one to take care of your husband's mother? Sakakibara asked. Yes, but they all have their own things to do and can't keep an eye on them all the time. My mother-in-law is old and not very clear-headed. She can't even recognize my husband's name. She is afraid that she will suddenly appear and climb to the roof. If I fall down again, no one would trust me to hire a nurse or go to a nursing home, so I can only help. Climb to the roof? Sakakihara imagined a Japanese-style flat-roofed house, which usually has stairs because of the need to dry clothes. It is really possible for elderly people who are old and demented to climb onto the roof. Mrs. Ogawa held the dog leash and glanced sideways at the big golden retriever sitting obediently at her feet. There is nothing else at home, but I am worried about this child. If I am gone, my husband will only come back at night. This child didn't go for a walk during the day. It must be uncomfortable to stay at home. The nearby pet store has a bad reputation. I don't feel comfortable leaving it to them. So, can you please help take care of it these days when I am away? No, it will take too long, half a month at most. When my mother-in-law's condition improves, I will take her to Tokyo to take care of her. In other words, I have to help take care of the dog. That's it? Sakakibara Raku didn't feel anything, but the key point was that he had to go to school and had no time to escape during the day. Kaimingyu, Julie Yulai, and Aling are the same. Uncle Tianhai is also busy with work, and he often cannot be seen until 10 o'clock in the evening. He often lives in the office. The only thing left is my mother. Mother's restaurant is busier in the evening, and the rest time is staggered with theirs. She is free most of the time during the day. Good karma gives a hint to agree to the neighbor's request. Although Raku Sakakihara wanted to accept it as an individual, but he had no time to take care of the dog, so it was not suitable. Now all that's left is to see if I can get my mother to agree. Mr. Sakakibara. This. I really want to agree, but I also have to go to school. The schedule should be about the same as your husband's. That's it, that's it? I'm sorry to disturb you. Ms. Ogawa lowered her head, glanced at the golden retriever wagging its tail, and apologized gently to Raku Sakakihara. Don't worry, Raku Sakakihara said immediately, I can ask my mother about this. She can help take care of her when she has time during the day. When she comes back in the evening, we can also watch her. Excuse me, I'll call and ask. It's okay. Ms. Ogawa agreed. Sakakibara returned to the living room in the back room and found his mobile phone in the bag on the sofa. What's wrong? Over the coffee table, Tianhai Julie Yulai, who was doing homework, stopped the pen in his hand and asked. Raku Sakakibara, a neighbor is temporarily busy and wants to entrust us with a golden retriever to take care of him for a few days. Tianhai Kaimingyu, oh, golden retriever. Do you like it? Sakakihara looked at her beautiful face and said. No, I'm just cheering for my brother. The two sisters don't seem to be very resistant. He was also worried that they didn't like dogs very much. After dialing his mother's phone, Sakakibara walked towards the entrance again. After a blind tone, the call was connected. Mom. What's wrong? You called me suddenly, I'm busy. Manager, the customer at table 56 is looking for you. Besides the mother, a strange woman's voice came from the other end of the phone. Wait a moment, I'll take a call. Miwa Sakakihara whispered to the woman, then walked aside and stood in front of a huge transparent floor-to-ceiling window. While looking at the entire Tokyo from a tall building, she focused on her son's phone. What's wrong? Sakakihara Raku, we have a neighbor, Mom, do you know? Neighbor? Ms. Ogawa, right? I know. I greeted their family when I bought the house. It's nice. Ms. Ogawa has to go out for a few days and a half for a temporary matter. She wants to entrust their golden retriever dog to our care for a few days. Do you agree? I do not mind. That's okay. That dog is quite good, but he's a little restless. He can't do it unless he goes out for a walk during the day. Miwa Sakakihara agreed with a smile. I happen to be bored during the day, so I can take him out, and you can take care of me when I'm not here at night. Agreed. Well, it's nothing. A Ling will definitely not object. She prefers animals. Mainly Chi Minjio and Julie Yulai. I don't know if they hate dogs. In this regard, you can ask them if they agree. Okay. Sakakibara walked back to the living room and asked the two sisters about this. Tianhai Julie Yulai smiled and replied that it didn't matter, and Tianhai Kaimingyu answered the same as her sister. They both said the same thing and it was really hard to tell who was who. Holding the phone in his right hand, Sakakibara walked towards the corridor and said to his mother on the phone, it's okay, they all accept it? That's fine. Ali, how are you getting along with the two of them recently? Okay. What do they think of you? It's all at normal levels. Then I'm relieved, but I leave all the family affairs to you, and you are busy with your studies and like to exercise. I have always been worried that you will be stressed or something. Don't worry, don't worry. Just tell me if you need anything. I used to feel guilty for not being able to give you and Ailing what they wanted. I always felt that I was quite useless as a mother. Mom, I told you not to say these things. Sakakibara emphasized his tone. Okay. It's all over now anyway. Ellie, you are very responsible. You are not like your father, the heartless man who took a lot of money and ran away. Alas. How could I marry him? The only thing I can praise is the best thing about it is that I gave birth to you and Ailing, two children that make people worry-free. My mother started again, but she couldn't persuade her. Sakakihara Raku didn't know how to respond to his mother's words, so he went on to say bad things about his runaway father. Sakakihara Miwa hasn't finished her words yet. Is Suzu okay? Ling? She's pretty good. You should also pay attention to her during the recent period. Although she seems indifferent on the surface, she suddenly has two more sisters, and she feels a little awkward in her heart. Sakakihara Raku didn't see this. She also deliberately teased herself. Don't you believe it? Does she like to lock herself in the house as soon as she comes home? Most of the time, yes, Sakakihara replied. Ailing, this child, used to come to me or you to cry when she had something sad. Now she likes to keep things in her heart, in her own small room. She has her own career now, but she is a voice actress. This path is by no means easy to follow. You should also know a little bit about the Japanese workplace, right? Some things are hard to imagine being borne by a 15-year-old child like her. I'm sorry for not telling you in advance that I got married, and I'm also very sorry for Ailing. It's been you who have been taking care of him for more than 10 years. As a mother, I only gave you some money. I rarely act like a mother obligations. Sorry. Sakakibara smiled and said, Mom, what are you talking about? Without you, Ailing and I would starve to death? At least we would have to go to an orphanage. Then we would be adopted by different families, which would be even more uncomfortable. Well, let's not talk about this anymore. Do you need anything recently? Or are you short of money? Just tell me what you want to buy. I understand, it's really not necessary, and you don't have to be so polite, Mom. I don't want to buy anything. It's funny to say that I needed to buy everything before, but I didn't have any money. Now that I have money, I don't need to buy anything. Manager, the woman's voice came from the other end of the phone. Then let's end the phone call here. I'll go and get busy. I'll bring you something to eat in the evening. Yes, Sakakihara nodded, and put down the phone after a beep. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 27. This is Keek's dog food and its toy ball. Keek will trouble you. It won't cause trouble at home. It's just more active. Just take it out for a walk. It's okay. Raku Sakakihara smiled and took the rope and bag handed over by Mrs. Ogawa and carried them in his hands. Woof woof. The golden retriever was spinning around and barking at Sakakihara Raku's feet, as if it knew its owner was leaving, and was not at ease as it kept whimpering. Not to mention, this large dog is really difficult to hold. Okay. Mrs. Ogawa knelt down, stroked Coco's head and looked at her. You can stay at your brother's house these days. I will pick you back in half a month. The golden retriever obediently lowered his head, didn't move or bark anymore, just squatted quietly in place. Goodbye. Mrs. Ogawa gently touched Coco's head, then stood up, said goodbye to Sakakibara, and walked back to her room next door. Let's go. Sakakibara held the rope and said to Coco on the porch. I didn't expect it to understand, but this golden retriever was quite smart and jumped directly from the entrance to the floor, wagging its tail, waiting for him, and walked into the house. I heard from Mrs. Ogawa that Coco could open the door by herself. Every day when I go for a walk, he takes the initiative to gather around the door. Once he sees Mrs. Ogawa coming out of the living room, he jumps up and pulls the door handle with his paws. Of course Sakaki Hararaku has not forgotten about the broken middle finger. In the corridor, while holding Coco's hand and carrying the bag, he took out the rattan card from his trouser pocket. The previous line agreed to the neighbor's request disappeared, and the goddess disappeared, replaced by a blank. Blank. Reminder, isn't it in good destiny? Sakakibara turned over and looked again, only the evil ghost with the katana in his mouth was still there. Since the event that caused him to break his bones was not within good karma, it could only exist within bad karma. According to the rules of foreknowledge, we can know that good karma and evil karma are complementary to each other. If there is a cause in the front, there will be an effect in the back. The two are in the same line. The way to change the future is hidden in these good karma and evil karma. If you are lucky, you can meet it the first time. If you are not lucky, you can only do both things at the same time. Just when Sakakibara was about to put away the divination cards, a red light emitted from the evil side. And soon, a compact line of words appeared. Before 6 p.m. on the same day, Tokyo time, place a cup of salt water on the left corner of the coffee table and keep it there for 2 hours. During this period, you are not allowed to move the water cup in any subjective way, including direct or indirect promotion. Salt water, put it on the coffee table before 6 o'clock. This condition is nothing. Sakakibara quickly took out his phone and took a look. 17:05. Fortunately, there is still an hour. Raku Sakakibara walked into the living room and handed Coco to Amamai Kuruuri and Amamai Nanamajetsu. Tian Hikaiminyu reached out and touched Coco. I wonder if this golden retriever only recognizes women. It was still jumping around in Sakakibara's hands just now, but as soon as it was in front of Chi Minjio, it lay on the ground and waggled its tail. Sakaki Hararaku silently thought of a word from his previous life, licking the dog. His name is Coco, and mom has agreed for him to live at home for a few days. This is the dog food he eats and the toy ball he likes. Mrs. Ogawa will move the house where he lives later. That's it? Tianhaijuli Yulai took the bag in his hand and looked inside. Woof woof. Coco stood up directly in front of Chi Minjio and called twice at the bag. Keek, do you want a toy? Tianhaijuli Yulai looked at the golden retriever. Woof woof. Golden retriever Coco barked twice more at the coffee table, her tail wagging excitedly. Tianhaijuli Yulai took out the green toy ball and threw it to Coco. Coco immediately bit it and fiddled with the bitten toy ball with her paws, having a great time playing with it. Sakakibara was happy to see that the two of them had actually put away their homework. Have you finished writing? So fast. It's already very slow. I've been writing for half an hour. Ming Junior High School is a high school, and the amount of homework every afternoon is at least 2 to 3 hours. If they can finish it so quickly, their results will definitely not be too bad. Sakakibara suddenly had a feeling that in this month's monthly test, his top 5 results might not be guaranteed. You guys get busy first. I'll go cook. In half an hour, the bell will be back soon. Okay, please Sakakibara-kun. Sakakibara walked quickly back to the kitchen, opened the cupboard, mixed a cup of salt water with mineral water and table salt, and then took out yesterday's grapes, washed them, and put them on a plate. He walked to the living room with a plate of grapes and a glass of salt water. Place the grapes randomly in front of Tianhaijuli Yulai and Tianhaikaiminyu, and put the salt water on the lower left corner of the coffee table. Fortunately, both of them were focused on the golden retriever and not on themselves. After putting down these two things, Sakakibara prepared to walk to the kitchen. Wait a minute, Sakakibara-kun. Sakakibara turned around and saw a small stack of banknotes in Amamai Kuruuri's hand. What's wrong? This, Tianhaijuli Yulai waved the banknote in his hand. I just found it in the bag, 300,000 yen. 300,000 yen. Ms. Ogawa should have put it in the bag. She also left a note. Only then did Sakakibara see clearly that in addition to the bank notes, she also had a white note in her hand. What's written on it? Tien Hijuli Yulai. It probably means that Ms. Ogawa said that we were in trouble, and this money is her apology. An apology of 300,000 yen? No wonder it's good karma. But, what could evil fate be? Forget it, I'll give it back to her when she comes over later. Brother, if you give it back to her, she will definitely not accept it. It's better to accept it. This will make her feel more at ease. Is that so? Sakaki Hararaku had no objection and walked towards the kitchen, glancing at the glass of salt water. Julie Yulai and Chi Minjayu don't know how to drink this stuff, right? During the rest of the time, Sakaki Hararaku found that the card did not respond, so he continued to work on dinner in the kitchen and make the fried rice with potato chips that Nanamiyuki had been dreaming about. Pour diced chicken, carrots, and onions into the pot, and lightly stir-fry the leftover rice from last night with a spatula. Listening to the sizzling sound coming from the pot noodles, Sakakibara breathed a sigh of relief. He felt that after more than 10 years of cooking at home, this was the only thing he was good at. In his previous life, he felt that he had worked hard enough. In this life, just stay normal and live a simple daily life. Let's have a simple relationship in the future, walk through life with that beloved person, experience the trivial matters of life, and stay together until old age. Such a life, although ordinary, is also extremely happy. While crushing the potato chips and pouring them into the wok, Sakakibara thought about his life. My mother has remarried, so don't worry. So far, if there was anything to worry about, then there is only this girl Sakakihara Suzu. She has watched her father run away from this family with no money and status since she was a child. She has had no sense of security since she was a child, and she is just an ordinary girl. Her mother has to work and is often away from home. The only person she can rely on is her brother. When I cried as a child, I liked to hold my brother when I cried. When I was bullied, I also liked to come to my brother for comfort. Alas, Sakaki Hararaku still likes her smiling more than when she cried when she was a child. She is obviously so good looking, and her eyes are so beautiful. He remembered what his mother had just said to him. Aling, are you really in a state of insecurity now? But it is true that the relationship between Aling, Chi Minjayo, and Julie Yulai is still somewhat distant. This new home is not that strong, and the family relationship between the few people is not too deep. It is limited to the state of just getting to know each other, above friends and below family. Sakakibara took the fried side dishes and put them on the plate. He walked to the living room, went back and forth twice, and put all 4 dishes and potato chips and fried rice on the table. There are potato stew, vegetable and tofu soup, mapo tofu, and vegetable salad on the table. Today's dinner was okay. I'm back. Sakakibara Suzu walked in from the entrance hall. With a lazy look on her face, she saw Sakakibara Raku, who was placing the dishes and chopsticks. Sakakibara clapped his hands. It's so early today. Dinner is ready and can be eaten soon. Sakakihara Suzu just yawned in response. She had just finished recording from the animation set and looked not in good spirits. What are you eating today? She asked. Potato stew, mapo tofu. That's not bad. I feel that only the food made by my brother is barely enough for my appetite. I eat cold rice balls there, which have no taste at all and are unpalatable. Suzu Sakakihara lowered her shoulders, her coat and shoulder bag loose. Slumped on her arm, I'm going to get a drink of water. Sakakihara agreed subconsciously. Etc. Drink water. Could it be that evil fate? He suddenly stopped what he was doing, as if he realized something. He quickly turned around, only to find that it was too late. Sakakihara Suzu was sitting on the single sofa in the corner of the living room, holding the glass of salt water she had received in her hand. And the direction she was facing was the direction of the 7 bright moons in the sky and sea while reading a book with gold-rimmed glasses. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 28. Just as Sakakibara expected, Suzu picked up the untouched water glass, and when he drank it into his mouth, a mouthful of salt water spurted out in the direction of the 7 bright moons in the sky. Puff. Sakakihara turned his head and couldn't bear to see the scene in the living room. Tragic, absolutely miserable. Aling drank salt water and Chi Minjia was sprayed in the face. How should I explain it later? Both Aling and Chi Minjia will definitely be angry. No wonder it's called bad karma, it's a completely bad karma with them. However, when Amami Nanamajetsu was reading, she still quickly caught a glimpse of Sakakibara Suzu, who was out of the corner of her eye. She quickly raised the book in her hand and blocked it in front of her, successfully resisting the water spray attack from Sakakibara Suzu. Her sky-blue eyes poked out from the middle of the book, half closed, staring at Sakakihara Suzu, who was coughing across from her. Chi Minjia won't forgive this kind of thing easily, even if it's my sister Chan. Ahem, cough, cough. Sakakibara Suzu quickly put the water cup on the coffee table. While covering her mouth and coughing, she reached out and took out a piece of paper to wipe her mouth. Sorry. Ahem. Sorry, Chi Minjia, are you okay? Thanks to Mr. Kawabata, it's just a little water on the skirt. As if nothing happened, Nanami closed the wet copy of Beauty and Sorrow written by Kawabata Yazunari and placed it on the glass coffee table in front of him. Then he took out a few paper towels and began to carefully wipe the salt water on his body and the book. Splashed areas. What's wrong? Tianhai Julie Yulai, who had been playing with Coco on the side, looked at the two of them. Tianhai Kaimingyu held a tissue in her hand and looked through the gold frame at her sister sitting on the carpet opposite. Sister Chan choked on her drinking water, which almost caused Chi Minjia to suffer as well. Well, it's that simple. Sakakihara Suzu quickly defended, No, I was choked. That glass of water is salty. Amami Jurulai stroked Coco's dog head lying on the ground and asked Sakakihara Suzu doubtfully, Is the water salty? If you didn't get the water yourself, no one would drink it, but that's not the point now. Neither my sister nor I have received the water, so the only one who can put the water cup in this position is my brother. Amami Nanamijaya raised her head and looked at Sakakibara Raku, who just walked over. My brother is the only one. Throwing the wet tissue into the trash can, Sakakibara Suzu raised her face and walked towards Sakakibara Raku. She got angry, looked at her brother seriously, and shouted his name sharply. Sakakibara Raku. Haha. Haha. Sakakihara turned away, avoiding her questioning gaze, and covering up his embarrassment with a smile. I never thought you would drink from that glass of water. That's my water glass. This Sakakihara Suzu didn't think much about it at all when she drank. But the question is, why did brother put a glass of salt water here? Tianhai Kaimingyu specially interjected. That's right. Why do you put a glass of salt water on the coffee table, Raku Sakakihara? Raku Sakakihara's eyes became sharp again. Chi Minjia is definitely trying to support the fire. Sakakibara cried sadly in his heart. Sakakibara Raku. Don't be in a daze. Answer me. Even though the expression on her delicate face was ordinary and the corners of her mouth did not rise at all, Sakakihara was sure that in her dark heart, she was definitely thinking of the word interesting. Sakakihara Raku, an angry Sakakihara Suzu asked again and again. Sakakibara casually thought of an explanation. I wanted to rinse my mouth with salt water because the food in the pot suddenly became hot, so I put the salt water cup here first. Tianhai Minjiao interjected again, brother is wrong. When brother brought this glass of water, he had just cut the vegetables. Why did he say that the vegetables in the pot were suddenly hot at this time? 7 bright moons. Absolutely, definitely here to cause trouble, right? Brother Sakakibara Suzu had stretched her terrifying voice to the longest. Huh? You want to explain to me, what exactly is going on? Ling, it's too close. Men and women can't be close to each other. Don't make excuses. Don't run away, tell me quickly. Explain. Correct. Tianhai Kaimingyu suddenly covered her mouth in surprise, and her pretty face took on a cherry pink cuteness. My sister seemed to be sitting there just now, relatively close to my sister's position. My sister Chan hasn't gone home just now. The salt water was put there when we were young, so it's not like my brother wants to tease my sister on purpose, right? Ah. Amamai Kurayuri, who had always been a bystander, obviously didn't realize this. After hearing what his sister said, he also looked at Sakakibara Raku, who was standing there. In his entire life, Sakakibara Raku had only taken pleasure in the misfortunes of other people's shura fields. But he didn't expect that one day, the shura field would actually come to him. Moreover, this kind of shura field is not about watching a few women pulling their hair and fighting over him, but that they are hostile to him with the same hatred. Sakakibara glanced at the 3 sisters in the living room and found that they were all staring at him. It's really not intentional, it's all for my poor middle finger, poor middle finger. For a moment, the atmosphere froze. This was not the first time that Sakakibara Raku faced such an embarrassing scene. He coughed twice first to break the silence. I just wanted to rinse my mouth with salt water, but I accidentally forgot it. Sakakibara-kun, is that so? Amamai Kurayuri was very calm. After she threw the green toy ball in her hand to Coco to play with, she looked at Sakakibara Raku again. I think I just want to play pranks. Tianhai Kaimingyu nodded in agreement. It's very possible. Maybe my brother is the kind of person who likes to watch girls make fools of themselves. 7 bright moons, 7 bright moons. Sakakibara silently recited the name of his foster sister and glanced at the 7 bright moons of the sky. He didn't know whether it was intentional or not, but suddenly, he found Chi Minjiao winking at him. This expression seemed to be hinting to himself. And sent a message. She calmed down. Sakakibara suddenly felt enlightened. Sure enough, sure enough. She was also angry because of what she had told Julie Yulai before. Just like Julie Yulai said, it's not that she can't remember the bad things you did to her, but she will secretly give you a push when you are unlucky. The situation is not very serious, but it can put people in an extremely embarrassing situation. This girl's character. It's really unique. Beneath the angelic face, the heart is not as cute as it appears. Tell me. Are you teasing me on purpose? Sakakibara Suzu approached him, her bright eyes full of anger. I really didn't mean it, but it's all thanks to me. Sakakibara Suzu's face almost touched her chin, and Sakakibara had to turn her head. Really? Sakakibara Suzu calmed down and looked at Sakakibara Raku seriously. It is true. Even if it's true, it's still your fault, brother. Sakakibara Suzu was obviously still angry. I know, just tell me what compensation you want. Compensation? Not everything can compensate. Then tell me what you want me to do for you. Consider it my apology to you. Lunchbox Sakakibara Suzu thought for a while. Ah. That's it, bento. Don't you understand this? Sakakibara Suzu lowered her voice. What's for lunch? Sakakibara stood up straight again. If not. That's okay, it's not like I haven't done it for you before. I want a bento too, Tianhai Kaimingyu said from behind. I want fried rice with potato chips. This Sakakihara Raku took the opportunity to glance at Sakakihara Suzu and found that she was just staring at him and said nothing else. Brother, don't forget, Chi Minjio is also a victim. Okay, Chi Minjio wants potato chips and fried rice. Juliuli also wants a lunch box. Just tell me what kind of food you like and what you want to eat. Then you can eat with Chi Minjio. Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't know why he was talking about himself, so he just nodded subconsciously, ah, okay. Sakakihara Raku felt that it was not appropriate that his sister and Nanamijiu both had bento boxes, but that they did not make them for Kuruori. My mother told me not to have any prejudice against the two sisters. However, he would have to prepare 3 lunches, which meant he had to sacrifice at least an hour of sleep in the morning. But what could he say? Sad, deplorable. Since we have to prepare lunch, let's prepare everyone's lunch together in order not to let the two sisters hear. Sakakibara Suzu lowered her voice so that only Sakakibara Raku could hear. Jealous. Who would be jealous of my stinky brother? Suzu Sakakihara looked disgusted and turned her eyes to the side. Come on, Coco, come here. The golden retriever Coco was having a great time playing with a toy ball next to the coffee table. When he saw Tianhaijuli Yulai waving to him, he immediately dropped the toy ball, wagging his tail and moved his head towards it. Tianhai Kaimingyu stood up straightly and walked to the dining table in the living room. If the matter is settled like this, let's eat. Her slender legs took beautiful steps, very steady and dignified, and her gold-rimmed glasses gave her the temperament of an intellectual girl, as if she had always been this calm and unhurried. But today, she, who had always been stable and had never fallen, stepped on the soft, elastic dog toy ball that Coco had just abandoned with her right foot, which happened to be next to Sakakibara Raku. Be good, be good. Tianhaijuli Yulai smiled and stroked the golden retriever's furry head back, repeating this several times. We are going to eat, but Coco can stay here for a while. Woof. Woof. Coco shook her tail excitedly as the beautiful girl touched her head. Tianhaijuli Yulai raised his head again and suddenly saw a magical scene on the other side of the coffee table. Surprised Sakakibara Suzu, astonished Sakakibara Raku, and Amamai Nanamijetsu with her hands in his arms, leaning on him. Is this a classic development of a light novel? Sakakihara Raku felt that he was a little speechless today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 29. Raku Sakakibara's hands were holding Nanamai's tiny arms. Even though he was separated by 2 layers of school white shirt and school uniform jacket, he could still feel the softness and petiteness of the girl's arms in his palms. The girl's hair touched her chin, and its delicate and distinct texture also brought a girl's unique fragrance. The fragrance of this girl and the petite feeling of her body in his arms made Sakakibara hold his breath. Because she stepped on the toy ball, her whole body was in an unbalanced state. In other words, her entire upper body crashed into Sakakihara Raku's arms. Sakakibara Suzu looked at the 2 people who were barely hugging each other with a pair of dead eyes, then folded her arms, turned away decisively, and curled the corner of her mouth contemptuously. Tch. Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't have any other expressions. She just looked at him, as if thinking about something. Are you okay? Sakakibara spoke. He didn't know what to say in this atmosphere, so he could only ask her with concern as his elder brother. It's okay, just now, thank you brother. Tianhai Kaimingyu quickly stabilized its pace. She was neither panicked nor shy, she just took a step back and adjusted the gold-rimmed glasses on her bright eyes with both hands. Tianhai Kaimingyu stood up straight again. The bow tie at the collar, the straight Western-style school uniform, and the upright posture made it seem as if the incident where she almost fell had never happened. Sakakibara didn't know if she had seen it wrong, but her face turned a little cherry red. No, I must have seen it wrong. Her face is a bit cherry pink, which comes from the cuteness of the beautiful girl herself. Besides, how could a dark-hearted girl blush in such a cold weather? It's okay. It's better to eat quickly. In order to get rid of this inexplicable atmosphere as soon as possible, Sakakihara smiled and said. Smelly brother, Sakakihara Suzu muttered. Without looking at him again, she just walked to the dining table, pulled out a stool and sat down. She seemed angry again. Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Julie Yulai also quickly took their seats. What should I say about today's dinner? Sakakibara felt unhappy about it. Like a few days ago, Chi Minjiu and Julie Yulai would occasionally bicker and fight. Now, everyone, like Sakakibara Suzu, began to eat in silence. Even if Raku Sakakihara wanted to adjust the atmosphere, he didn't know how to start the conversation. Sure enough, is this evil fate? The foreseeable necessary conditions have been completed, but what was the reason for the fracture of his middle finger? Sakakihara didn't dare to take out the card and read it now, but would take it out to study it when he was going to sleep. A silent dinner ended. Sakakihara put away the dishes they had eaten and prepared to wash the dishes. Sakakibara Kunti and Haijurulai walked up to him alone. Want to help? No, I can just wash it alone. Sakakibara smiled. To this day, he still can't tell the difference between Chi Minjiu and Julie Yulai. Even if Chi Minjiu wears glasses at this time, he will subconsciously mistake the two of them. Their identities must be distinguished by what they call themselves. It's okay, Sakakibara-kun. I've seen you busy cooking in the kitchen alone in the past few days, and also busy washing dishes after eating. I think it's a bit bad to just look at you like this. It's okay. Look, aren't Chi Minjiu and Aling doing their own thing? There's nothing wrong with that. It's about two guys watching TV and reading a book in the living room. Sakakibara-kun, let me help you. Sakakihara was stunned again. He really didn't want to appear so stunned. But the girl in front of her, her eyes sparkling brightly, made people unable to stop looking at her sincere and delicate face. Tianhai Julie Yulai was originally a beautiful girl like an angel, and her words were so warm that it was hard to refuse. Coupled with the gaze in her eyes, it really makes people wonder, how can you refuse her? It would be great if the equally beautiful Chi Minjiu had a personality like hers. But Sakakihara Raku is not denying Nanamajetsu. Even though they are twins, the elder sister is the elder sister and the younger sister is the younger sister. They are different people. After putting the dishes and chopsticks in the sink, Raku Sakakihara turned on the faucet, squeezed some dishwashing liquid in, and began to clean up the aftermath of dinner. Every time he washed a bowl, he would leave it to Tianhai Julie Yulai beside him to clean it. This division of labor and cooperation really made him feel a lot more relaxed. Seeing her flawless white hands taking over the smooth plate, Sakakihara was a little worried that her hands would become rough from washing the dishes with him. Sakakibara-kun. If you can, please don't pay attention to Chi Minjiu's prank just now. She didn't mean any harm. Referring to what she said just now. Yes, the water from the faucet kept flowing over Tianhai Julie Yulai's beautifully manicured nails. Actually, she is a very sensitive person at heart. Because of her sensitivity, she will remember some things very clearly. Sensitive. It's because of my mother. Sakakihara Raku, speaking of which, I haven't heard anything about your mother. It's not something that makes people happy. After we were born, my mother rarely came home. What does she do? Sakakihara tried to ask her and handed her the bowl in her hand to wash. She's British, a star, you may have heard her name. British. No wonder, the eyes of the two sisters are that rare sky blue, and their hair is flaxen. Apart from Aling's strangely colored pupils, he had never seen any other color of pupils in this country. Tianhaijuli Yuli's lowered eyes reflected the patterned porcelain bowl dripping with clear water. My mother has a very high status in the industry and is very busy with work and schedules, even busier than my father. When the news of her pregnancy at the age of 19 was published in the newspapers, I heard that there was a huge uproar at the time. If Sakakibara remembered correctly, Uncle Emamai was 42 years old. The two sisters are 15 years old. Their biological mother should be 34 years old now. The 8-year age difference can actually be regarded as a relationship between uncles. How did Uncle Tianhai do it in the first place? At that time, his career must have just started, and he had nothing yet. Because of the sudden pregnancy, fans across the country began to boycott my mother's works. During that time, the news and media were all speculating on the father's identity and where he lived. The age of entertainment. Sakakihara couldn't help but sigh. It sounds magical, but in reality, there are many such examples. Then what? Then, it was fine. Mom would come back to Japan to live with us occasionally, and Chi Minjaya would be very happy to see her mother. But just when my mother's career was back to its peak and Chi Minjaya had just turned 5, a reporter suddenly found our home. Not only did he secretly take photos of our mother who came back to visit us, but he also took pictures of Chi Minjaya and me. Speaking of which, Sakakibara-kun should be able to guess what happened next, right? The next day, my mother made the news again in the UK, and from that day on, whenever our family went out, someone would always follow us. Tianhaijuli Yulai said calmly, overlapping another bowl in his hand on top of the cleaned bowl. On that day, my mother came back to visit us less often, and now my father divorced my mother out of disappointment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 30. This was the first time Sakakihara Raku heard about their mother, and she didn't expect that she was still a high-profile star. But yes, with their upright and delicate appearance, their mother should also be a great beauty. It's a little presumptuous to ask this, but I want to know what kind of person your mother is to you and Chi Minjaya. Mom. Mom is very important, Tianhaijuli Yulai murmured. At this time the doorbell rang. Raku Sakakihara thought it was his mother or Uncle Emamai coming home, but he didn't expect that Mrs. Ogawa from next door came over with Coco's kennel mat. Keek would have trouble sleeping without this, Mrs. Ogawa said. By the way, it didn't cause you any trouble just now, did it? Causing trouble? Does it count if Chi Minjaya falls into his arms with its toy ball? Sakakihara Raku felt that the atmosphere at that time was extremely embarrassing. But think about it carefully, didn't Aling often be hugged by herself before? Although Chi Minjaya is only in name, she can still be considered a sister. So it's okay to simply get in touch with yourself, right? Sakakihara tried hard to convince himself in his heart and said to Mrs. Ogawa in front of him. No, Raku Sakakibara thought carefully about the golden retriever, there's nothing else, except that Coco is a little active. When we were eating, he kept wandering around the table. Kakago is like this. It used to chew up a lot of the sofa, but don't worry, it has gotten rid of this bad habit now, and the child is also working hard to learn well. Mrs. Ogawa seemed to suddenly remember something again, and reminded, by the way. Speaking of naughty, Coco is a large dog with relatively strong strength. Although it is quite docile around girls, it will change when around men. You have to be very active. What's wrong? Sakakibara saw Mrs. Ogawa's expression becoming very sad. It's nothing. My husband used to take him out for a walk. He saw another dog's flying saucer in the park and wanted to run over to catch it. As a result, he broke my husband's finger on the dog leash and went to the hospital to recuperate. It's been a long time since I got back to work. Things became clear now. It turned out that my middle finger was broken by a golden retriever while walking the dog. The divination box was really useful, but that bad fate almost caused his good brother's character to collapse. I would like to ask Sakakibara-san to remind MRS Sakakibara about this matter. Of course, MRS Sakakibara will probably be fine. The main thing is, MRS Ogawa stopped talking at this point. Her implication is that men should not slip away, as it is dangerous. Sakakibara didn't think it was a big deal. He just let his 3 sisters escape when he went out at night. However, this finger can be broken by a dog while walking the dog. It's too outrageous. In that case, Sakakibara-san, I will take my leave now and wish you a good night. Okay, thanks. After watching MRS Ogawa leave, Sakakibara closed the door, returned to the living room, and found an empty corner to place the kennel mat that MRS Ogawa had brought. Sakakibara Suzu and Nanami Minjaya both went back to their rooms, and now only Juliuli was still in the living room. As soon as Coco smelled the familiar smell, she escaped from Juliuli's hands and circled around Sakakibara Raku. Woof. Woof woof. Okay, you're going to sleep here for the next few days, do you understand? Raku. Sakakibara made the kennel. Woof. Coco stuck out her tongue, shook her golden retriever tail and barked at him. Tianhai Juliuli came over and said, Keek looks very smart. Just now I told him to sit and he can sit down. He can also shake hands and raise his paws. He was smart, so smart that he broke his male master's bones. Sakakibara smiled and touched Coco's head. It's okay, it's a golden retriever after all. Tianhai Chi Minjaya walked out of the bedroom. She had not yet changed out of her school uniform. As usual, she walked to the refrigerator to get iced potato chips. She opened the refrigerator and chose the original flavor among the many flavors of potato chips. But when she turned over the bag of potato chips, Tianhai Kaimingyu frowned. Brother. Sakakibara Raku, who was chatting with Amami Kuruori, saw Amami Nanami coming towards him holding potato chips. What's wrong? Here, Tianhai Chi Minjaya turned over the potato chips. There are no shark stickers. What do you mean? Sakakibara didn't quite understand. Each bag of potato chips will have a mark. If there is no mark, it means that this bag of potato chips is not the original potato chips. Raku. Sakakibara thought it was over. He didn't turn on the lights in the living room, and met Suzu Sakakibara on the way. He didn't notice the sticker on the potato chip package at all. Besides, who puts labels on potato chips? Tianhai Kaimingyu's beautiful eyebrows were half closed as she stared at him. Brother, did you steal Chi Minjayu's potato chips? Sakakibara tried to ask, what if I say, I was careless? Tianhai Chi Minjayu had an indifferent expression of do you think I will believe it? Huh. In the steamy bathroom, Sakakibara reached out and turned off the hot water. He held up the wall. Take a good look back at what happened in the past few days. First, he failed. The confidant netizen who has some feelings is actually my own sister. Secondly, the system is ready to use, a daily gaming system. As for the ultimate goal of the game, it is to become the all-powerful god of daily life, Raku Sakakibara. Furthermore, my mother remarried. I have 2 more sisters, and the relationship between them is now more than family, more than friends. School and life. Aling is a well-known voice actress, Chi Minjayu is the new director of the literature department, and Juliuli is the new director of the archery department. Sakakibara suddenly felt that everything seemed to be related to them. I have to get up in the morning to cook for them at night, and prepare their lunch tomorrow. Is all my personal space occupied by my 3 sisters? He has a girl and a house, his parents are both busy, his studies are top-notch, and he looks good. In a situation like this, could it be that he is the male protagonist of the light novel? What are you thinking? Sakakihara shook his head and immediately put this idea aside. Alas, let's go back and do our homework, and then think about what we can make for them for lunch tomorrow. She was discovered about secretly eating Chi-Minjio potato chips. Plus, if I hugged her tonight, she wouldn't hold a grudge in her heart, right? But ahem, nothing else, the feeling of squeezing her arm. It's really soft. Damn it, what are you thinking about? Puberty. Sakakibara put on his pants and walked to the sink outside to take a look at himself in the glasses. He had a handsome face and his hair was still a little wet. Handsome. Giving himself a good night's encouragement, Sakakihara took out his cell phone from his trouser pocket, threw his school uniform shirt into the washing machine, poured in the laundry detergent, and pressed a standard washing mode. He glanced at the time. 20 hours 45 minutes and 31 seconds. I haven't finished my homework yet. I estimate that I will be busy until 11 o'clock when I finish writing. Alas, you shouldn't cook first. You should finish your homework with Chi-Minjio and Juliuli before making dinner. Raku Sakakibara went to the refrigerator to get some dessert, carried her school bag back to her room, and spent more than 2 hours finishing all her homework. It's almost early morning. Ha! He stretched out and went to the window to look at Tokyo Bay at night for a while, blowing the breeze for a while, then returned to the bathroom and hung up his clothes in the washing machine to dry. Raku Sakakibara gets ready to go to bed. Ha, haven't you come back yet? Raku Sakakihara patted his dozing mouth, glanced at the dark entrance outside the living room, and muttered, forget it, I won't come back until you come back. Both of them are workaholics. I don't know how we can fall in love and talk about it together. After saying that, he yawned again, his eyes half closed, he was very sleepy. Go back to the bedroom, turn off the lights, turn on the flashlight on your phone, and go to bed feeling the light. It was so late at night, and he had no interest in playing games or checking his phone, so he just closed his eyes and went to sleep. Night, quietly silent. In the deep Tokyo night sky, only the cries of seagulls could be heard faintly. Sakakihara's thoughts wandered and he wandered into his dreams. Vaguely, he seemed to see the shadow of a girl under an ancient and prosperous cherry tree. The cherry blossom tree is on a high mountain by the sea. Behind it is a ridiculously long staircase. Both sides are filled with thick pine trees that are more than 10 meters high. When the wind blows, the green leaves in the forest rustle. He heard someone speaking to him in the mist behind, telling him to be brave. Tell him that under the cherry blossom tree in front of you is the person you like. Your childhood sweethearts. She has been waiting for you. As long as you express your love, she will definitely not reject you. The voices of encouragement became more and more numerous and dense. Although he couldn't see clearly the shadows in the smoke, he could clearly feel that there were many people pushing him behind him. In the dream, Sakakihara hesitated for a while, then mustered up the courage to approach the girl. Climbing up the stairs step by step, you can hear the crisp chirping of birds in the forest and the natural breeze. When he passed a red torii gate, the old and thick cherry blossom tree, and the blue sea under the high mountains, wrapped in the sea breeze, came into view. The petite back of the girl is reflected in the flying cherry blossoms, and the wind and flowers are setting off her hair. Here, everything seems to be dyed in a dreamy hazy pink. In his dream, Sakakihara stopped and looked at the girl's back. He didn't know what to say at this time, and the words were brewing in his throat for a long time. Time passed bit by bit. Sakakibara softly called the girl in front of him. Then, the dreamy girl finally turned around slowly. Lele, get me water quickly. Grass. Sakakihara Raku was so frightened that he sat up from the bed, with cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. He looked around and realized that there were no cherry blossom trees or Sakakibara bells, only the sound of the alarm clock ticking. The ghost lingers, the ghost lingers. Sakakibara calmed down for a while, muttered a few words, and then fell back on the bed. He stared at the ceiling, trying to remember the situation when he went to Bengzian a few days ago, and the deep despair he felt after learning the truth. Aling, if I were your brother and I couldn't fall in love throughout high school, it would all be your fault. Sakakibara took a few deep breaths, tried to calm down, then put on his headphones, listened to the English radio, closed his eyes, and tried to fall asleep again. Flower notes 2, Sakakihara Suzu, unlocked. Sakakibara opened his eyes again. He clenched the quilt tightly, feeling very depressed now. No, is this going to prevent people from sleeping?